Swadika, good evening, and TGIF. We hope you have had a great week so far. And of course, welcome to this edition of Thai PBS World with us. You are with Nat Punak and Hatai Techikit Tiranan.
สวัสดีค่ะ very good evening as well, and we'll begin tonight with not so good news as we reported yesterday on the increase of diesel prices from 30 baht per liter, which will be increased to 32 baht starting next month. Other products have also announced changes to their prices as well, in which will unfortunately add more burden to the people at this time. Consumers in Thailand will be feeling the pinch of rising prices of a wide range of products, whether it's instant coffee, cooking oil, instant noodles, to condensed milk, shampoo, and soap, among others, as the result of the fallout from the oil price increases. Several manufacturers have already notified their wholesale outlets of price increases to become effective on May 1st, although prices of several products have already quietly increased. The price increase of many products may not yet have taken into account the increase in the price of diesel fuel, initially from 30 baht per liter to 32 baht per liter, effective from next month, which will push up transportation costs. Truckers under the banner of the Land Transportation Federation of Thailand have threatened to increase transport charges if the government does not respond to their call to help them ease the increased financial burden caused by the fuel price increase. And diesel prices will increase step by step up to 35 baht per liter, which is the ceiling price announced by the Fuel Fund Executive Committee of the Energy Ministry. Meanwhile, the CEO of Thai President Foods PLC, which is the producer of Mama instant noodles, admitted that the cost of production has increased substantially. The prices of raw materials such as wheat flour and palm oil have increased by about 70% over the past 2 years, and the company has not increased the retail prices of the instant noodles for 14 years, and this is according to the company. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha expressed concern over the increase of various product prices and affirmed the government's effort to alleviate people's burden through the implementation of measures. And according to the government spokesperson, the Prime Minister has warned business operators to adjust product prices appropriately in accordance with the Commerce Ministry's regulations and in line with the actual manufacturing costs and inflation as well. So we have to admit that the prices have gone up for several products, and many people have felt the burden since earlier this year.
Exactly. And, not to mention how a lot of people, not just Thailand, of course, around the globe have been severely impacted financially by the pandemic as well. So this whole, surge in oil prices that resulted in other surge of other price increases definitely does not help at all when the economy is trying to recover, not just here, but around the world. And staying in the economic topic, whether or not this, Russian-Ukraine conflict is to blame for the high oil prices and subsequent, surge in other price of goods, for example. But one thing is for sure is that the economic outlook is still not very bright when the average household debt in Thailand is forecast to dramatically increase to 95% per GDP this year. The average household debt in Thailand has increased 5% year on year to more than 217,000 baht, which is the highest in 14 years. And this year, the debt may reach 95% of the GDP, according to the forecast of the Center for Economic and Business Forecasting of the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, or UTCC. So the center recently conducted a survey of 1,260 union workers who each earns less than 15,000 baht a month between April 18 and 24th, and found out that, well, probably not a surprise, but still a bit shocking, 99% of the respondents are indebted. So according to the survey, most are bogged down with things like credit card and rental debts because their incomes are insufficient, and about 31.5% have defaulted on repayments even. So according to the rector of the university, Dr. Thanawat Phonvichai, he's also the chairman of the Forecasting Center. The professor warned that it is likely that the household debt this year will climb to 95%. And just to give you a bit of background of where it stands, the household debt for the third quarter of last year increased to 89.3% of the GDP as well. And regarding the current minimum wage, since we're talking about, low-income earners with 15,000 baht a month, the daily wage is averaging 336 baht. And Thanawat said it does not really reflect the real economic situation. And actually, this minimum wage should probably be increased a little bit in line with inflation. And the inflation rate is now up 4 to 5%. He also noted that 492 baht minimum wage figure, which has been proposed by some labor organizations, is actually too high too. So we need to find somewhere in the middle, because if the wage increase quite dramatically to almost 500 baht even, it would definitely be a big blow to many businesses and would further drive up the cost of production. So this is a delicate matter that has to be dealt with quite carefully. He also suggested that the government probably extend its subsidy co-payment scheme, which is actually due to expire tomorrow for another phase. And that could actually improve the purchasing power of consumers and help inject about 45 billion baht in the circulation as well. Just also to give you an background on this co-payment scheme. So this is actually a really popular scheme, Kunat, because over 26 million Thais have joined the first phase, the fourth one, which began on February 1st. And each of the applicant was given 1,200 baht to spend over the course of 3 months. It's not that much, but it is also not that bad either. And it has proven to be quite popular because, even if the figure is quite minimal, it does help to a certain extent.
Exactly. And now let's move on to politics. A former red shirt guard has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for committing lèse majesté as well as other computer crimes. The former guard of Thailand's anti-government United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, also known as the Red Shirts, Sombat Thongyoi, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison without suspension for lèse majesté and computer crimes for posting one of the king's remarks in late 2020 and other comments about His Majesty on Facebook. However, a bail application has already been submitted. The Bangkok South Criminal Court ruled yesterday that Sombat's actions, in which he quoted King Maha Vajiralongkorn's well-known encouragement to one of his supporters, but with the news of Thammasat University students refusing to attend their graduation ceremony presided over by His Majesty, to be mockery and an insult. Sombat's other two Facebook posts, which commented on the king's physical greetings to his supporters, have also been ruled by the court to be false and defamatory to the monarch. The Thai lawyers for human rights confirmed to Thai PBS World Today that a bail bond of 300,000 baht has been posted for the release of the activist as the case is advanced to the appeals court pending the court's approval. Sombat has become the latest person to be imprisoned for committing acts of lèse majesté. A number of other anti-establishment activists have also been convicted and jailed for similar offenses in Thailand. So we can see that there is another case going on at the moment.
Exactly. Well, this is extremely controversial and delicate issue indeed. But we at Thai PBS World already, cover this matter quite extensively about all the 112, or lèse majesté cases that have been filed against a lot of anti-establishment protesters. And some may have debated that the law is quite clear, or maybe the problem might be the implementation, or some may have also pointed to certain vagueness as well, basically because it's also up to the interpretation whether or not there is intent, right? And it's quite tricky to, for example, quote quite a well-known remark, but intent probably of mockery, for example, or insult has to also be proven. So that's that, and we might still see some similar cases, especially with this law popping up, or also in the coming months, if the movement is to continue as well. Even though, of course, we see that most of the leaders have been charged and indicted, and that their movement has actually quite died down, especially because of that as well.
Exactly.
And moving on to something really shocking, or perhaps really repulsive to a lot of us, because there is this news that has been shared on social media where a naval officer has been forcing conscripts to drink diluted semen, his own semen mixed with water. And so far, the officer has been suspended. An investigation has also been called for, with a panel being set up to actually look into this, rather really unusual matter. So the Royal Thai Navy has ordered a probe into this conduct of a drill sergeant who has been accused of allegedly forcing new conscripts to drink water mixed with his own semen. The Navy also suspended the officer, who is a petty officer second class, Thaksin Ngok Pillai, who's a drill trainer attached to the security regiment of the Marine Corps based at Sattahip Naval Base, from any training of new conscripts. So at least if it is as alleged or not, at least the officer has been removed from the position that he can do so. So according to the Navy spokesperson, upon an initial check on the report, it has actually confirmed that the allegation does have grounds, and that it has been found out that the incident that has been shared on social media took place in October of last year. And pending investigation, if the allegations are proved, the perpetrator will face a maximum disciplinary penalty. The Navy spokesperson also offered an apology to the conscripts and their families for this alleged abuse, saying that the Navy has never had a policy to use violence as a means of punishment of conscripts, which is regarded as a violation of human rights. He also said that the Navy commander-in-chief has instructed all naval units in charge of training new conscripts conscripts to put in place measures to prevent abuse by their superiors or drill sergeants, and to try to change their attitude towards the conscripts. So to give you some background, this is actually, of course, this is really shocking, but not entirely unexpected, because Thailand does have a track record, especially in Thai military, that new conscripts are subject to a barrage of beatings, humiliation, and even sexual abuse, which amount to torture in a lot of cases. And this is according to findings and report by Amnesty International. And new cadets have also been subjected to this maltreatment by their seniors. And if you remember, back in 2017, there was this infamous case of a first-year cadet at the Armed Forces Academy's prep school who died of sudden heart failure after he was reportedly subjected to a punishment. His case was quite shocking, Kunat, because some of his organs were found to be removed during the first autopsy. And that has prompted his family to request a second one, which also pointed to physical assault. And according to former defense minister, who's now the deputy prime minister, Prawit Wongsuwan, insisted that the cadet had died of poor health, and claimed that he, General Prawit himself, was also subjected to similar treatment during his younger years, pointing, to how this kind of punishment, this kind of treatment is part of the training, and try to maybe normalize it. This is something so normal, according to the deputy prime minister. So speechless, basically.
Yeah.
This is really repulsive. This is disgusting. And whatever form it is, abuse should never, be acceptable.
Well, as disgusting and appalling as it may sound, unfortunately, such cases are really common, not just only in the military, but in universities with the hazing and violence against the juniors, especially during their first year. It is also a big issue at the moment as well, where violence seems to be very normal, especially when it's done to those who are actually younger than you or less senior than you. And for this case that you just reported just now, Kunanatai, this is one of the most disgusting and appalling stories that we had to report on, because we couldn't even believe that such things are still happening even in the military. And we actually do feel bad for the conscripts who had to go through this sort of abuse.
Right, exactly. Well, unfortunately, that is something we're leaving you with for this week, tonight. But we do hope still that you have, a great weekend coming up as well. Of course, wrapping up this edition of Thai PBS World tonight. And you can catch us like this every weekday at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube and Facebook Live, which means we'll see you again on Monday.
And by the meantime, don't forget to follow us on social media, including our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Monday. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ